I just played a little bit of Ukulele Lady there to show off this ukulele for sale, because essentially it's not an acoustic instrument, but I just wanted to show you that it sounds reasonable. If not great, sounds reasonable. It's a relatively cheap Mahalo ukulele, but I'm guessing, although I haven't done any deep research on the matter, I'm not such a nerd, but I am guessing by its style and by the fact that it hasn't got any console with controls on it, but just a jack socket for a pickup that's inside. This has got to be one of the first models of electric ukulele they made. I should say electronic ukulele, I suppose. It doesn't sound bad acoustically because it is made of mahogany ply, and if it was an acoustic one it would probably have the model in U220S or something like that, but it's got U220E/G. I don't know what the stroke G is for, but E obviously stands for the fact that it's electric. And first of all, I tell you that some of the early Mahalo ukuleles suffered from the fact that they had so-called non-slip pegs, in which eventually come to slipping quite a lot. So it's the biggest misnomer I've ever made. The best thing they ever did was add worm and pinion machines, these little fancy dolphin-shaped ones. Although I do know that certain other reviewers of ukuleles hate these with a purple passion. Why, I don't know. It's just because they're a bit too big in proportion to the ukulele. And of course, modern ukulele manufacture means that they've made small ones now, smaller ones, so I should make them very happy. I don't mind really, because I'd sooner have big machines that work well, even if they're too big, rather than non-slip pegs which patently slip all the time. Anyway, enough of this bandying about of standards. It's got a set of basic Aquila strings on. Excuse me while I just give my drippy nose a quick wipe. As usual, I'm suffering from the hay fever this time of year. Anyway, it's got some kind of first of all, before I electrify it, I'll just show you that there's a little bit of damage here. Not damage as such, but dings, which is a common thing, especially around the vicinity of a jack socket. People tend to miss. And there's one on front, you see. Can you see that one? It's a bit more prominent, a bit more definite, if you like. So having a jack lead gives you an extra weapon to damage your ukulele with, so be careful. Anyway, I'm going to plug it in now. The disadvantage of a pickup with no controls means that you have to be adjacent to your amplifier so that you can control the volume, of course, but also the tone controls. And as I've said this so often about electronic ukuleles, if you don't want your ukulele to sound like a rock guitarist's a very trebly electric guitar, what you need to do is roll off the treble, and if there is a middle control, turn that up on your amplifier. If there isn't a middle control, put a bit of bass on, and then it will sound like a ukulele with a nice yellow plonky sound. That's it acoustic. This is it with a modicum of amplification and a little bit of reverb as well. I'm getting a mild hum from it here. That's just because I'm in close approximation to the amp. I'm going to try and... There we are. I've got rid of it just by moving it on the other side of my leg. And as I've also said in previous reviews about electric instruments. The whole point of amplifying an instrument is not just necessarily to make it louder. We don't want to bring the glass out of the window panes. We just want to a modicum of more volume, but what this brings with it is sustain, and sustain is a highly valuable factor, which means we can play slower tunes, because you see, an instrument like a ukulele, similar to a banjo, doesn't have a lot of sustain with it, so this is why it tends to have quick jolly tunes played on it. As soon as you manage to extend those notes, it means you can extend the repertoire into slower, more languorous love songs, etc. Having said that, my mind is a total blank as to what I'm going to play on this today. I don't know, perhaps it gives the actual tone of the instrument, which is still essentially trebly, leads me to believe I might want to play something a bit bluesy on it. Let's just see what comes to mind. Basin Street Blues. And then he goes, Basin Street is the street where all of those dark and light folk meet. La da dee. I've forgotten which chord comes next. Da da dee, da dee, da dee, da 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 dee, da 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 dee, da dee, da dee. You could also, once you start playing blues, it all brings all the other blues to mind, like, whoa, let's see. Or at that point, Howard takes me on to another step and says, really, you can't play anything melodic like that unless you've got a low fourth string, a low G, as most people say. But because I tune my ukuleles to all sorts of pitches, it's a low fourth string. And if you've got a low fourth string, it means that you can extend your melody. But anyway, I hope what you've discovered there is that when you're playing something amplified, the benefit of it, even if it's a very, very plain, simple instrument like this with no controls, no tone or volume controls, if you're adjacent to your amp, you've got control of it, you can extend the music that you play by also use all the tricks like vibrato, sliding, and make use of all your frets. Give it a whirl. You'll have fun with it. Okay? Thanks for looking. Bye now.